Welcome to the Gamers Evolve podcast with myself, Tracy Suggs, Foster Wilkins, where life, community, business, and wellness come together. We share real stories, real lessons, and real conversations to help you grow and stay connected.
Joining us today is Coach Rodney McKoy, a Winston-Salem native, Carver High School, WSSU standout who helps win 3 CIAA Championships as a player. He went on to a successful coaching career, earned a state title both as a coordinator and a head coach. He is now back at Winston-Salem State coaching under Robert Massey while continuing his 25-year career in education and having a family. Coach McKoy, thank you for joining us today on the podcast. I want to welcome you.
Man, I appreciate y'all even thinking about me, man. It's a blessing, man. Real talk. I appreciate it.
So, Rodney, we're going to start off with our first question here for you. And growing up in Winston-Salem, how did sports shape your early life, and who inspired you most along the way?
Man, I didn't start out to get into sports. My mom was probably my biggest influence. My brother was probably my second biggest influence. And I got actually in sports through my brother. And true story, he lied. I was 8 years old in 1977. He lied to the people and told me I was 9, told my mom I could be 8, and lied to my mom, told I could be 8, and got me started in football. And 47 years later, man, I've been hooked. And in football, actually sports period has been part of my entire life, and probably my entire journey has been around sports.
What have you seen change since you've been involved in sports?
Well, the biggest influence of sports now is beginning to be money, where it used to be coaches was mentoring you, trying to help you reach your goals. People could use sports to get disadvantaged kids, to help them get where they need to get. That's gone. And now it's everything about money and winning and winning and winning. So it's a big difference between when I first started coaching and now.
Going back to your playing career, on your playing days, what was it like to play 3 sports in high school and excel as an MVP in each?
Well, at the time, I was just playing, I've always loved football. My mama got me playing baseball. I just played basketball because my friends, Corey Belton, all the people in the neighborhood played. And at some point in time, during those times, I made MVP every year.
Wow.
In at least one of those sports. I was twice in football, once in baseball, and my senior year in basketball, I shared it with my friend Corey. But sports was the it. All of the kids in my neighborhood, I grew up in Northampton, neighborhood they called the Hole, over off Carver School Road.
Okay.
So that shaped my life. Right. I mean, everything I did was sports. All the people in my neighborhood was into sports. So I just kind of just did what everybody else in the neighborhood did.
Okay. Right. You speak about your mom. Give me a little more insight on that mama intuition and love.
My mom, I was just telling last night, my friend Tracy, that my mom is my biggest influence. She never gave up on me. I was probably my mama's worst child to raise. Man, I stayed into some stuff in high school. I mean, I did, you name it, I probably got into it. I had a daughter, a beautiful daughter at 16 years old. And I think my mom was looking at me like, man, it's a little bit too early for this. But my mom kept telling me the importance about getting educated. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I didn't know. I was probably an average student in high school, but my mom just kept telling me, do your schoolwork, get educated. Mm-hmm. And she really preached that to me, and she never gave up on me, just never, ever. So her influence is still, all my habits to this day have been formed because of my mom.
Just that.
And I know that when you talk about your mom and the impact she had on your life, that must have been a great feeling for her, for you to get a scholarship and step on the field at Winston-Salem State University as a freshman. So what was that like?
First, my mom's a WSSU graduate.
Okay.
So that's huge. I gotta make sure I get that in there for her. And my daughter's a WSSU graduate, and proud graduates.
That goes back to legacy.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I didn't want to come to Winston-Salem State. In high school, I was more known as a linebacker, and everybody recruited me as linebacker. I thought I could play in the ACC linebacker like a lot of other guys on my team, like Ray Agnew's and the Derek Depnams. Them guys play ACC football, so I thought I could, which I could. I was the very first class of the SAT, so that year you had to have 700, and I made 690. So I didn't want to sign at Winston-Salem State. Bill Hayes came to my house, offered me, and I turned it down. I didn't sign immediately. But my high school coach, Alfred Poe, rest in peace, Pancho, he came to me in March and said, man, listen, them people not going to sign you. Go ahead on and go to Winston-Salem State. Do the best you can. Right. You'll be fine over there. And Lord Jesus, I signed, and I look back 37 years later, that was one of the best decisions I ever made was coming to Winston-Salem State. As far as playing as a freshman, I had no idea I would be even contributing at all as a true freshman. Right. We had a lot of really good players when I first got to Winston-Salem State. And man, it was, if you missed practice for any reason, you would never ever get back up that depth chart. So I just kind of just chugged along, man, at that thing a little bit. And before you know it, I was getting a chance to play. Not a lot, but enough. So,
speaking of playing under legendary Coach Hayes, you also played under Coach Hayes and Pete Richardson in the 80s. What was that experience like?
Wow. Man, I'm indebted to Coach Hayes and Coach Richardson. You know, Coach Hayes recruited my class, which was me, Yancey Thigpen, Coach Connell Maynor, Eric Boyce, Big Twin from Detroit, Craig Akins. He recruited that class. And then he broke our heart when he left and went to A&T. But he left Pete Richardson a Maserati because when Coach took over, man, we had as many players as we had before.
Wow.
And at the time, you don't think about neither one of them being Hall of Fame coaches. You just playing for these guys. This is your chance, you know, to play college football. Man, them guys, I look back 37 years later, both of them went on to be national championship coaches at 2 different major universities, as well as HBCU Hall of Famers. And the good Lord couldn't have wrote me a better story on some guys that I could play for, that I have opportunity to play for.
Tracy and I had a chance last year to go up to the Black College Hall of Fame, and we saw Coach Hayes and Coach Richardson up in the Hall of Fame. That made me feel proud. It made us feel proud in that moment, just to see the HBCUs shine for that moment. And knowing our history, I'm playing at a HBCU. Actually, I played against Rodney, 89 at Fayetteville. Y'all came in and beat us. I just want to ask this question. How was it to share the backfield with Graves, Broderick?
You know, Broderick got drafted, so that'll tell you he's an excellent football player. A guy that people don't remember that I shared the backfield with, who actually played in front of me, was Lonnie Pulley.
Okay.
Lonnie Pulley is a Hall of Famer here.
Okay.
Who was one time South Carolina's all-time leading rusher. Okay. So me and Broderick played the backfield together. Actually, the championship game my freshman year, my sophomore year, 88 and 89. So Broderick was as good a player I ever seen, and should be in the Hall of Fame here.
You know, Rodney, I as much as I love coming up against you guys back then, I couldn't stand that wing tee because you should be the lead out on that wing tee.
That's right.
That thing used to sting when they came right at me.
Yeah.
Look, you got 3 other guys that came off that team. You got Yancey, you got Donna Frank, and you got Broderick, who all went to the league. Give me a little bit of feedback what practice was for those guys every day.
Well, as I said to Trace, if you missed practice back then, you would never climb back up that depth chart.
Touching the field.
So we were really, really good at the running backs. You know, you hear about the Broderick Graves, but you don't hear about Ronnie Beverly, another really good player. You don't hear Popcorn, Willie Lauder, another really good player. Bobby Brown, another really good player. So, man, we had a lot of talent at the running back spot back then.
Ricky Dozier, that group. Yeah.
Ricky Dozier was in there, Calvin Hanson. That list is long with guys that came through during that era. That was really good players that, man, and Richard Daniels, my homeboy, if he'll tell you, if you missed practice or didn't come or you got an injury for any reason, it might be, you might not get back in there the rest of the season.
And that talks about the history, and we talked about going up to the college or the NFL Hall of Fame and seeing HBCU represented. That you just talked about that legacy. That's just on one team. Everything that came through, the great players that came through HBCU football. Going back to that loaded team you had, you guys went to four CIAA Championships. You won 3. You were able to score touchdowns in multiple games. What stands out to you most about those moments? Not just playing with the guys, but winning those championships.
Well, it's funny you said that because the class of '87, Tracy, which was the guys I named, me, Yancey, Connell Maynor, Eric Boyce, Big Twin. I got to make sure I send a shout out to the guys because all them guys, man, played with me, man. Craig Akins. We're the winningest class in the school's history. From '87 to '91, we went to 5 straight CIAA titles and won 4. I just happened to only play on 4 of those teams because back then they didn't let you play a couple games in red shirt.
I like the way you just said only. I only got to play in 4 championship games.
Because here's the thing, back then, if you played one play, you couldn't red shirt. Now you can play up to 4 games and still red shirt. So back then, the coach would put me in some, he would put Yancey and them in some. We would play a little bit at the end of the game just to kind of get you ready. We won 87, 88, lost in the championship at 89, and then won 90 and 91. So to have an opportunity to, I scored the touchdown as a freshman to seal the championship game. It's probably my biggest moment. And not that the rest of them didn't matter. It's just that particular moment. I wasn't anticipating being in the game. The game mattered. And at halftime, Lonnie Pulley, man, which is one of my dear friends, came to him and said, man, something happened to him during the course of the game. He said, man, coach told you to go in. I was like, me?
Yeah.
Me? So, oh, man, this is my chance right here. And I ended up scoring a touchdown to seal the game, man, late. So it's one of my highlights of my coaching, or my playing career.
So you kind of mentioned coaching. So you talking about all that history you had, the great memories of playing at Winston-Salem State University, graduating. What led you to go back to Carver, and how did that shape your coaching career?
Well, I wanted to be a college coach, but my high school coach asked me to come back because I hadn't finished my degree yet. He said, come back, just coach the running backs. This is 91. And I came back. I coached Carver from 91, 92, 93. My high school coach stepped down and gave Keith Wilkes the job, which is my mentor, and another WSSU alum. He's my mentor, man. He took the job over and made me his offensive coordinator. So now I'm an offensive coordinator, but I really don't have a clue how to make it work. Because it's my first year ever coaching as a coordinator, and that's kind of got my coaching career started.
Well, that switch from the coaching, from playing, that's a real switch.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, everybody can coach. Everybody can play. But coaching and playing is completely different set of eyes. When you're playing, you think about just your position. Or what you're doing. But as a coach, you're looking at the totality of it all, like all 11. And how can I make my 11 versus your 11 work? You're looking at seeing what they're in and what I'm trying to do with the formations to manipulate what your 11 are doing. I didn't know that at my second coaching. I learned it. Dana Walker, I got to send a shout out to him because he helped me out. He another WSSU alum. Because I got to make sure I shoot it out to him because he, in the coaching business, he showed me how to coordinate. Even though I wasn't ready for it the very next year, he did get me started. And little bit by little bit, I've been kind of growing at this thing.
They mentored you in communicating. You talked about you could play, but everybody can't coach.
Oh, yeah.
And you had experience coaching at Livingstone, but that communication and being able to translate what you know from the game to those athletes, that's something totally different.
Completely different.
Because you got to be able to motivate and watch them learn strategy and skill. So you got to do both. I didn't want to go back, but I wanted to pick it back on one thing because I cannot leave this out, Rodney. I know we're moving ahead. The rival between Winston and A&T back then. Especially after Coach Hayes left.
Well, we wanted to beat Coach. First coach is my guy. I wouldn't be where I am today if he didn't give me that chance back then. That's the first thing. He gave me a shot, and I probably could have went somewhere else, but I didn't need to go nowhere else. But that was a heated rival. This generation don't know nothing about it. The battle, we used to call it the Battle I-40. And we used to always say, you get off, come down I-40 and get off and make that left. You come down and play us, you better be ready. But you have to be ready when you go down there as well, because majority of my friends, I play high school ball with Aggies. So we would go down there and play each other, man. That was a huge rivalry. And to play them last year and almost beat them in overtime, the stadium was jam-packed. It seemed just like back in the 80s. It was a huge rivalry then.
And you talked about Hayes. We got him kind of looking over you as you're doing the interview, man. For those people watching this and don't know, that's the legendary Coach Bill Hayes right there.
Yes. And, and Rodney, as you talk about the moment of those rivalry, I feel like there are still some things missing today when it comes down to our HBCU rivalry. Do you think there's some things missing?
Absolutely.
Expansion's got to be a part of taking those rivalries away.
Expansion, and then it used to be the bigger schools didn't mind playing on the smaller schools because they understood the rivalry and the money being made. Now the bigger schools don't want to lose to the smaller schools because of the financial thing and as far as getting in the playoffs. The rivalries meant a lot when we grew up. They don't mean as much anymore because of the politics part of sports. A&T, Central, and Winston-Salem State, Fayetteville State should all play each other every year because of the rivalries and the financial part. But it used to be we would trade off. We would go to them, they would come to us. Now, we can't, they don't come to play us here. We always have to go to play them there, and they pay us, don't get me wrong, and the money's well needed. But it used to be a trade-off.
Exactly.
That's gone. So.
Yeah, legacy.
Yep.
Keep a legacy.
We talked about the HBCU legacy and your ties. We talked about Winston-Salem State University. Man, what was that as a graduate assistant down at Southern, what was that like when that was that Black College National Championship run in those days during that time?
Well, Coach Richardson left and went to Southern. So my friend T. Graves, who's the head coach there now, we went down together as graduate assistants.
Okay.
In 1994. People don't know that. T. Graves played here. Coach Terrence Graves, we call him T. Graves. He's the head football coach at Southern University right now. This is his second year. We went together in 94 as GAs. His second year, I was working on my first master's degree. His second year, he got hired full-time, and I did not. And his college coaching career just blossomed. He's been, coaching all over the place, doing what he has to do. And I kind of went back to high school and circulated my way back here. So, speaking
of going back to high school, let's talk about T.W. Andrews. I think that top right class and Eddie Renard's son. Let's talk about that championship team. Let's talk about those time over at T.
Yeah, that was at 2013.
Yeah,
that was that 2AA state championship.
Story people don't know, False. I actually took the job on the very first day of practice, August 1st, 2007. I didn't get a chance to plan and do all the stuff that all the other coaches do. I was at Carver as the defensive coordinator, and they called me and asked me to take the job in June. I said, nah, I'm not going to take it. It's too late. So they called me again on July the 27th and say, well, just come in for an interview. Linwood Girls. So just come for an interview. So I just went for the interview, not thinking I was going to get it. Within 10 minutes, Mr. Hines say, oh, I'm going to hire you. So now I got so much anxiety. So I was like, man, I don't know if I'm ready for this, man. I just came for the interview. And they hired me. My friend who was my mentor, Keith Wilkes, said, man, that's your job. Take it, man, we'll be fine over here. And I took the job on the first day of practice. I literally sat in the parking lot on August the 1st with my bags, walked in. Gerald called me at 4 o'clock and said, man, you was cleared. Walked in and started, okay, let's try to put this thing together. And that was the hardest thing I ever did coaching, was going there. Because I took it on the first day of practice, and then my first two years was just learning how to be a head coach.
Right.
How to do everything, how to see the big picture and not looking at just what you control. Because the coordinator, you just control what the defense and offense. But as a head coach, you controlling everybody.
You made them team run. You have to see what they can't see to direct the ship.
That was hard at first for me, real hard. It took me 3 years just to get my feet underneath me. And then once I figured it out, got back in the wing tee. My friend again, my mentor Wilkes said, get in that wing tee, man. You won't ever forget. You won't ever regret it. We got back in it, and within my third year, Cartwright and Raynard, all them guys, Justice, all them guys, man, Jerry Brown, all them guys. I can go on that list of guys who man, I worked that group there, man, as hard as I worked any group. They won a state title. We should have went back to back. We should have won the 2012 title. Well, I gave Salisbury coach one. Coach, I know if you see this, you're going to remember I gave you one. I beat you 35-15 in the first quarter. And you got 21 points on me to beat me 36-35. Boy, I ain't sleep at all that night. And we came back the next year, but I had 30 seniors the next year, Foster, and we ended up winning it.
But see, you talk about that speaks about your legacy as a coach here in the state. You're one of the only 2 black coaches in Guilford County to win a state championship, and the only one to win both as a coordinator and a head coach. That really shaped your legacy. How does that feel for you when you reflect back on that?
The legacy part, you just doing it at the time. You don't think about the legacy. Right. When I look back on it, I didn't even realize I was the only 2 blacks in Guilford County to do it until somebody told me. Steve Davis, he the GOAT. Yeah. He done it 5 times.
Yeah, you talked about Steve Hayward.
Steve the GOAT, man. Real talk, Coach, you the GOAT. To do it one time is hard. I thought it was easy, but it's hard. And I'm appreciative I had the opportunity to do that. And then I didn't realize somebody told me I was the only black. I helped Coach Wilkes, my mentor, win his 2nd state title as his defensive coordinator. Yeah. And I bet it on myself, as I like to say. Go to Andrews, and within 6 years, I won a state title as my own boss, man. I wish I could have got that second one, 2012. Coach, if you was listening and you're at Salisbury, man, I know I gave you one, man. I wanted that one bad, but to win it, I guess that solidifies my legacy. One of the few blacks that can say they won a state title in the state.
And we're going to finish this thing up because we're getting close here to the end of the interview, and we right into philosophy and legacy. What's your philosophy when it comes to developing young athletes, not just as players, but Foster and I talked about character, leadership, and all those things. How do you develop these young players today?
Well, first, I got to be able to lead by example. Got to have some integrity if you're going to be helping other people's children. It's big.
Important, very important.
You got to have some integrity. The next thing is, these kids got to let you push and mold them a little bit more. Because part of pushing and molding a person is sometimes I'm going to have to chop something off, to skim something off, because this is just dead weight for you. And they sometimes don't want that because they want it instantly. I wish life was instant.
Right.
I really wish I could go back and change a lot of stuff about their own lives and my life. That ain't how it works. Some of that you have to go through. Some of you can learn from watching. And the learn from watching part is something they got to be better at. You don't have to experience everything to know better. And being able to develop kids, they got to let us develop them a little bit more. And it's not as easy as it was when we all played.
Also, you talk about that a lot, like in your life and business. You talk about developing young people.
Yeah, and people have to be intentional, like you said, about molding these young people. If you're not intentional about molding them, they're not going to grow. And then they say, like I tell my own kids, you got to allow us to be able to coach you up a little bit. Right. So when you're coaching them up, and they can see where you're going with it, you can see them grow. You can see the potential. A lot of times kids don't realize you can see the potential, and they walk away from it.
I'm going to piggyback off and say this. Sometimes you have to criticize them, but it's constructive criticism. I got to be able to correct you by saying, hey, that's not appropriate.
Right.
Why? Because either I've experienced it or we've watched somebody else experience it and it didn't go good.
Right. Right.
And they sometimes not always receptive to that.
And we got to be able to gauge how we try to protect them too, because sometimes we'll protect them through that nurturing process as men. And you're not letting them learn from feeling the results of your actions and feeling the process. We can't do it for them because we've already experienced it. So there's a fine line, like you said, between coaching and you talked about it, developing young men and women and letting them, hey, you gotta learn that the stove is hot so you can take your hand off of it.
Well, that's where coming to a HBCU like Fayetteville, Winston, those are what those old coaches used to do.
Right.
I mean, there was a time when, man, I can tell you, Rodney, I sat in Dr. Merchant's office learning how to become a student first. And he cared enough. So if he cared enough, then I need to care enough. That's right. Those guys have to understand when coaches are really out there to help them. Right. You got to see it. You can't say go to mama and say, hey, I don't like the way they're doing. I'm going to just transfer and get in the transfer portal. You can't do that. You got to be able to say, hey, this man cares enough about me to be here. And when he cares enough about me to be here, he can shape my life.
I want the young kids out here to hear this. There is no transfer portal in life. Some parts of your life you created. You have to go through it so you will be better off. You can't transfer out every little bitty problem. Some things you have to figure out through experience. Some things you don't.
There's no transfer portal in your life. That's a huge statement. So that goes back to you, how we developed a relationship. You already had a strong relationship with Foster, but through Protect Your School, health and safety, your camps, what allowed you to look at what we were doing at Protect Your School, how you're developing your young people to say, hey, I want these guys to be involved in this process?
Well, for me, it started out, I just wanted to provide a free service to disadvantaged kids. That's how I started out doing camps. And then I was just reaching out to people who could help me out financially. I wasn't charging kids anything. I wasn't getting anything out of it other than the fact that I could do this for people. And just by the grace of God, me and Foster connected, and you guys are doing Protect Your Skull. I'm doing football. Great. We got together and said, hey, these kids need to understand about concussion and concussion protocol. We all have had many concussions playing. We just played through it. And some of our generation got some cognitive issues because of that.
Right.
And now this generation are being a little bit more aware of it. And your company allowed me to be able to influence these kids, use my platform as a coach, Protect Your Skull, was allowed me to be able to do that and get these kids how they understand how when you take hits and hit people, how that affects you and how it can affect you long term.
Your quality of life.
Absolutely.
Yep. So Rodney, as we prepare to close, looking back at Carver, WSSU, Southern University, Andrews, what does football mean to you now? And what do you hope the players remember most about you as you get ready to ride off into the sunlight?
Oh, man. First, I want to tell my brother, thank you for introducing me to football. Man, it's been good to me. And I honestly can't complain, Foster, because the journey has been good and bad. It's been rough some days, but it's been well worth it, man. I appreciate y'all allowing me to even do this type of interview. That my career has mattered. My life has mattered.
Yes.
For somebody to be able to look at my life and say, dude did it. And to be able to say that to my children and my because I got 7 grandkids now, man. And for them to be able to see this as they get on, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All my grandkids, I got 6 grandboys. You know how you are: Jordan, Jacob, Aaliyah, Carson, Hendricks, Josh the Jet, all y'all. So, yeah, man.
That's what the Game has Evolved podcast, the Game has Evolved podcast. That's what we're all about when Foster and I came together. We wanted to be able to create a platform for those individuals that have really made an impact in our communities that don't get a chance to share their story or talk about how it has impacted their lives. We talk about being intentional, making an impact. I was about to say that. That's what you've done with your life. And when we say the game has evolved, it's not just about the game of sports. You talked about the game of life. That's the ultimate game that you got to evolve within. And I'm gonna take what you said earlier. I'm gonna use that for a long time. There is no transfer.
Transfer portal.
It's out of celebrity status. This is about people who make an impact on the community. That's why we call it Community Life Podcast, because this is where a guy who's been here in Winston, but this is a part of a university that's in this community. And all the names on these walls, I look around, all these guys have touched somebody in life, and somebody touched their life to make them become who they were. Yeah,
and you talk about this university, the HBCUs, everyone that you've been affiliated with from high school to playing black college football, these institutions, you talk about giving you an opportunity.
Oh, yeah. I was above average student. I became a good student because somebody allowed me to go to school. Now, when I say became, at the time when I got here, I was an average student. By the time I got out of Southern University, my first master's degree, I was a good student. But a black college allowed me to do that.
Master's degree.
2 master's degrees. I just finished my 2nd master's degree from Gardner-Webb in school administration back in May 2025. But even though Gardner-Webb helped me, my black college background made me.
The foundation. That was the foundation.
And I tell this to my friend Tracy all the time. Listen, HBCUs gave you, me, and him an opportunity when we probably might not have gotten it. back in the 80s, because opportunities was few and far in between now. Nowadays, there's 100 places you can go play football.
Right.
Exactly.
As soon as it don't go right, you can transfer to another place without any impunity. Won't nobody say nothing. It won't even be frowned upon. Well, it wasn't like that when we played.
No, for us, it was like going back home. That's something you didn't want to do.
You had to
that
earn
was your
it.
option. You had to go back home.
And it meant something for you to go to Fayetteville State and earn it.
Yeah.
You earned it. You earn your playing time, you earn your degree. And not that they don't do it now, it just meant a little more then because they made you come through the fire to be able to come who you are.
And you thought about mama.
My mama is the sole reason I became who I am. I love you, mama.
But we want to thank you for having you here in this conversation and sharing your story. That meant so much to Foster and I. We wanted you to be the first.
Man, I appreciate
the
it.
story.
I appreciate it. Real talk. Nothing but love, man.
Appreciate you again.
Nothing but love.
Appreciate you. Thank you again for coming out this morning. We appreciate you 100%. Thank you.
One last thing. Listen, Jackson Grant, my grandson, I forgot you off the list, man. I love you too, man, JT.
We got you, Jackson.
Okay.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, man. I got to get a picture with y'all right quick. Let me get a picture with them, man.